there are 7 signs in the Gospel of John? This video will look at that and figure out why. This is Jackie, and if this is your first time on my channel, I love to do Bible studies. I love to dig deep into the scriptures and share what I've learned. So why 7 signs? Well, what is a sign for? A sign directs us. It shows us the direction we should go on our journey. It might tell us how fast we can go on our journey, like a speed limit sign. Or it might label a building to tell us, where are we? The Apostle John tells us that these 7 signs are miracles, 7 stories that reveal something about Jesus. John is testifying that these signs are true. In his letter, 1 John, he writes and says, I have seen Jesus with my eyes. I have heard Jesus with my ears. I have touched Jesus. We can trust that this first-hand witness, his testimony is true. John declares at the end of the gospel, and there are many other things which Jesus did, which if they were written in detail, I suppose that even the world itself would not contain the books that would be written. And yet John had to sift through all those miracles, all those things, and choose 7. It would be speculation on my part to figure out why he chose those 7. The number 7 seems to be special in Scripture. There were 7 days to creation. There are 7 bowls and 7 trumpets and 7 seals in the book of Revelation. There are 7 churches in the book of Revelation. There were 7 days where the armies of God circled Jericho until they had victory. So John chose 7 signs, and he wants us to learn something special about Jesus. Here are the verses that make clear the purpose of John. The resurrected Jesus is meeting with his apostles. Thomas is there, and Thomas has been doubting the resurrected Christ. So Jesus says this to him, because you have seen me, have you believed? Blessed are they who did not see and yet believed. That's you and me. We haven't seen Jesus. We haven't touched him. We haven't heard him with our very own ears, but we can believe. John writes, in verses 30-31, therefore many other signs Jesus also performed in the presence of his disciples, which are not written in this book, but these have been written so that you may believe that Jesus is the Christ, the Son of God, and that believing you may have life in his name. Let's take these verses apart. It starts with, these have been written so that, here's the purpose, so that you may believe. And what are we to believe? That Jesus is the Christ, the Son of God. These signs are going to help us to believe that, and that believing you may have life in his name. So that's the result. That's the wonderful promise and result, that as we see Jesus in these signs, we may believe and have eternal life. We see that God truly wants a relationship with us. He is revealing himself in these words about Jesus. We can know more about his character and his heart and his desires. These signs and studying these signs will help us to identify who Jesus really is. Why signs or stories? Well, God has written so many stories in his Bible. They are easier to remember, and they come alive, and they break through the walls of our heart and help us right into our souls to see God. We see Jesus walking on this earth, and it reveals the Father's heart as well as his own heart. Those 12 apostles followed Jesus, and they saw these things. And John truly believed that these 7 signs would help us believe. And once you learn these stories, they can be like tools They can equip you to share with others. You can evangelize. You can help others come to know God. You can teach them to your children or your neighbor or someone. As we study these signs, we're going to ask some major questions. What does this story say about people? What does this story say to you about Jesus? And we'll think about his character, his power, and his methods of training. What does this story have to say about you? Who needs this story? Will you tell them? Here's my RX for joy. Join us as we dig into the 7 signs. It will be encouraging to you.